now with a discussion about how to use social media successfully in the marketing of jewellery. And I'm delighted to be accompanied by some very, very top influencers in the jewellery world. Here we have SHOHISTA, TURDIYEVA, who is at Jewellery_pursuer on Instagram, has a huge following all around the world, over 300,000 followers on Instagram, and we're hot on the heels from a trip to a presentation in London yesterday, so we've already worked together. We worked together on a number of occasions now. PRERNAA MAKHARIAA, based in Mumbai, a very senior influencer in India, but possibly, I think, the biggest following in India, a very huge following of over 250,000 people. I've known PRERNAA also now a number of years, and she's very active traveling to the fairs all around the world, promoting them and promoting brands. ESTHER, who is based in the Netherlands, is also very strong on Instagram as a Bitsita, but her real speciality is LinkedIn, where she's possibly the world's leader in marketing jewellery, with a very active and proactive presence on LinkedIn of jewellery. And last but not least, KAUR, who is based in Chandigarh in northern India, whom I met, I think, just over a year ago at a World Jewellery Confederation event in Jaipur. Sam has been rising fast in the world of influencing and marketing jewellery using social media, and has a very strong presence also on Instagram. So, just to kick off, in terms of tips that the panelists can give in order to be able to use social media marketing more effectively for jewellery. Could I first ask SHOHISTA, what advice would you give sort of brands and jewellery designers in terms of how they should be using social media successfully in order to really boost the visibility of their businesses? We have a slight microphone issue. We just need to get somebody for help with the microphone. Can somebody help us with the microphone for SHOHISTA? I think we need some help with the microphone. Here we go.
Go out, set up your social media accounts. By things that you would be wasting, on social media platforms. So you need to start out with Twitter or TikTok or Instagram, so you would know which platform would work for you for your brand. I would always suggest you start having your presence on Instagram before.
Okay, and PRERNAA, what is your advice to a jewellery designer or a new jewellery brand that wish to raise their visibility using social media? How should they use social media to become better known, to become more visible? Can you give a few tips? Say using Instagram, I mean, should they use video or stills or a mix of the two?
When it comes to a brand and it comes to a designer, it would vary for both of them, because the designer might be the face of their brand and they want to make it more individual focused, versus a brand will probably want to focus on the brand itself. And talking about that, a brand should, be it a designer or a brand, they need to maintain a certain kind of consistency on their page, be it a color palette or the kind of fonts they use. So that gives a brand recall. For example, when I started out, there were so many comments I would get that you're a part of every video of yours, and I would say that I'm the face of my brand. I am going to be a part of it. I just don't want to talk about product where people don't even relate with it and they don't get any sort of a personal touch. So I think that is important for someone to know and figure out what is the direction that you would like to take.
So a consistent message, but also presumably a brand needs to tell its story, and how can it do this using Instagram?
So like I said, when you talk about a story, there needs to be some kind of consistency in the way you portray yourself out there. For example, a color palette. If today for Art of Jewellery, I see this and it's a brand recall for me the moment I looked at that. Their logo is consistent every time wherever they're placing it. For IJS, I would see pretty much everywhere at the same time. Only the colors may vary depending on their collection or the kind of, the theme that they have for that show. So that's just a very simple example for you to relate. That sort of a brand logo, color palette, consistency in the way you portray it on the page, because someday if I'm putting jewelry and someday I'm putting something random, the audience is going to start losing interest. So you need to have that sort of a balance also.
Okay, thank you. So Sam, you've had a very rapid ascension on Instagram over the last couple of years or so. What sort of tips can you give to those brands that are looking to stamp a strong immediate presence on Instagram to highlight the visibility of their businesses?
So I think can you hear me?
Yep.
So I think there is one more important thing which I think it's very important. So I think there's one more important, which is the most important thing which I would tell that we should come, promoting your brand, we should come out of our comfort zone. Start planning your content like a month before or 2 months before, so that you can actually give yourself the time so that what you actually, and planning your content means it's not like we usually live in our comfort zone and we just post if I'm shooting today and my content, or if I'm like, if I have a concept and if I want to post something tomorrow, so I'll be shooting yesterday. So I mean, you should plan your content in a way so that you have a lot of time to talk about your brand, to talk about your content, and it should be very selective and segregated to your niche and everything. Yeah.
Should it be a case of telling the story of your brand, what it's all about, or do you believe in hard selling? Which is the more successful approach for Instagramming?
I think the most approachable thing, I think you should go with the reels and you should go with the story. Make it more creative. Whatever you're posting on your page, I think you should not post in your story. And I think whatever you're posting on your stories, you should not post on your reels.
Okay, so let's explain this to people a bit more, because it's very interesting what you're talking about now in terms of reels. Firstly, can you explain what a reel is, and also give some advice about how people should create a reel, what they should be looking for when they create a reel, how to present it in the best possible way?
So, very good question. So this is the thing which we all struggle for. It's all about content. When we actually, when we want to post our content, we think like, what should I post? Now if I talk about, there are a lot of things now. AI has come into the industry.
So you want to explain what a reel is?
Yeah, so reel is something, there are a lot of reel when you actually portray yourself, making videos and talking about a lot of like the same storytelling about your brand, about yourself, like, because if you're owning a brand, you're also somewhere, you also influences people with your brand, so you're also an influencer. We all are influencers. So talking about your brand, it can be a story, it can be a video, and it can be anything. You can actually start with a poll. You can ask your...
So should a reel be polished, or if it's a bit rough and authentic and sort of more natural? Is that okay? I mean, which route would you go down?
You see, we scroll on Instagram every day, right? So we see a lot of, content, and we see people are putting rough content also, and people are putting polished content also. So
what advice would you give people?
Yes,
which way should they go?
I would definitely give. You should start however you are. You just start and then keep polishing your content. I would say polished content would be must, but yes, you can put your touch to it. Don't lose your, always be a signature style. What is your signature style? What
be yourself.
Makes it your content different.
Yeah.
Being authentic
Is
is
very
Create organic content is always key. It seems that it picks up quite quickly when you just an organic, unpolished content. That's what I do. I don't use the lights or right. It's good when you're doing photography to look visually and correct.
So one more question on Instagram before I move on to Esther. So PRERNAA, in terms of creating successful reels to showcase a brand or a client, for example, what broad advice would you give? And also, what are your thoughts on how to embrace AI within the fabrication of a reel? Because AI is increasingly doing all the work, isn't it? Anyway.
So, yes, I agree that AI is doing all the work, but the human and personal touch is not something which AI is going to be able to replicate. The emotions that the human generate, AI is never going to be able to take over that. So that, and especially we are in the jewelry, we are in the business of jewelry, which is all about touch and feel. So to show that and to emote that via a video or a post is really very important, and I think as a brand or as any content creator, that emotion that you relate and connect to the audience is very important.
Yeah.
So since we have a lot of jewelry brands here, I think for them the advice would be to talk about something which is out of the box with your jewelry. Today it could be the colors that you've used in the jewelry, it could be a design element, it could be inspiration, it could be the manufacturing technique, it could be an unboxing experience of a jewelry. So you can dabble between different kinds of
What I have found personally is that if you showcase, for example, the craftsmanship, the creation of a piece of jewellery, that this gets lots of views, lots of likes. People just love the journey of the jewel itself. From the manufacturing of the diamond to the setting in the ring, the whole process of craftsmanship is something which I think the customers all around the world are extremely interested in. And whenever I've done reels that focus on the journey of the making of the jewel itself, those reels have done really well. So moving on to Esther. So Esther, you're very strong on Instagram, but you're particularly strong on LinkedIn. I think this is almost your USP. Could you explain how, in your view, brands should use LinkedIn in order to be successful in the marketing of their company? How do they do the messaging most effectively on LinkedIn to create the biggest impact and the greatest visibility for their business?
So I've been on LinkedIn since 20 years, and that's a very long time. I worked in the jewelry industry for over 30 years before becoming a blogger. I am that old, but I've been listening mostly. Before LinkedIn became social, it was a listening platform where you connected with people from the industry. So I founded my base with connecting with a lot of people in the jewelry industry. LinkedIn has a limit of 50,000 jewelry connections, but there is a follow button where you can actually build up an audience for yourself. So on LinkedIn, it's to be generous. It's all about generosity. So you share insights, tips, and this way you promote yourself. So if there is a ratio, I would say make it 3 times about something else or somebody else, and make it 1 time or twice about you. So promoting your brand just like an advertising action on LinkedIn will not get you anything because it looks like an advertisement. And you have to make it look like you are interested in your audience and you are there to connect. Storytelling is everything. So what is your story? Because through storytelling, we make a connection as humans. We make a connection with the product. And when we make a connection, we feel an emotion. And that is when something could be happening for your brand. So, and also comment on the others that are posting on LinkedIn.
So what are your thoughts about tagging? Let's say it's a young jewellery brand wishing to promote itself via LinkedIn. Should they tag all their potential clients, or is that too self-serving? What sort of advice would you give, generally speaking, about whom one should tag and how many people one should be tagging in a message?
It's generally not, it's a little bit frowned upon to tag people that you don't know. Because LinkedIn is foremost a professional network, so it's a B2B, business to business. And I work as a business coach, as a jewelry business coach, and I know how difficult it is to start out on social media. And often what I get from my clients is that they don't feel like it or they don't know what to say. And the first thing you could do is find somebody in your company that has more affinity, more feeling with Instagram or LinkedIn, whatever you choose, and have them create the content. Because actually, it looks very easy, but creating content is very difficult. Right. And it's a lot of work.
Very good. Let's turn now and talk a little bit more about Instagram, because Instagram at the end of the day is the #1 platform for the marketing of jewellery via social media. Now, just first like to ask SHOHISTA, yesterday SHOHISTA at another panel we were talking about the future a lot. Looking forward for the Gen Z businesses that will now be coming up, could you give a few tips and advice to them about how they will be using Instagram in the future, how things will change on Instagram in ways in which you market jewellery? What's going to change? How will AI evolve?
That's quite a good question, actually. Yesterday we were talking about AI, and AI so quickly and rapidly is taking over Instagram, and what features coming in. We have already seen tagging your product on retail on Instagram, which is very broadly used. Also, AI will be available for chat boxing, where you can literally, talk with the AI assistant on Instagram. Or another way is replica voice. Your voice, you can speak to AI assistant, where he will be able to, he or she, whoever it is, will be able to suggest it. And also AI virtual models will be available, where you will be able to, as a brand, you will be able to ask that AI virtual assistant to try it on, and also they will create a content for you. And also, the brands can take advantage of AI's help in terms of getting influencers or creating something, content. AI will be everywhere in every platform possible, just to help you, just to assist you in your journey.
PRERNAA, could I ask you again, sort of taking your crystal ball and looking forward as to the way things are going to be, focusing particularly on retail, and how social media is going to be used in retail going forward. There may be some retailers here, jewellery retailers. What kind of forecast do you have in mind for the way retail will evolve with social media and Instagram? I mean, do you think we're going to see more and more, effectively, jewellery shops on Instagram? And how will they work? And what will the relationship likely be between, say, a brick and mortar store and that same store's presence on Instagram at retail level?
So when you talk about having a presence of a store on Instagram and a brick and mortar, so for some a combination of both will work. For some, maybe they're just selling out of social media, and there are a lot of brands I know that they sell purely out of social media. In fact, when I visit some of the trade shows, especially in the Southeast Asia, I see a lot of people going live from their Instagram, and there is one dedicated person just selling jewelry online. So, and I think that's a great way to connect with your audience, even if you're a manufacturer or a retailer or an independent brand. Because since you had spoken about hard selling earlier, it is a form of hard selling, but then this is what works, because when your audience is already there out there and they see the product, they want to buy instantly. They don't want to wait for somebody else to take it. So I think that combination works really well.
Yeah. So I want to throw this question wide open to all of the panelists, so anybody can contribute to this one. What do you think about using different platforms for social media and how to interconnect them all? And are there any shortcuts? For example, Instagram and Facebook. Do you tend to integrate the two when you post on Instagram? Is Facebook still effective as a marketing tool for jewelers? And if you have content, can you quickly link Instagram content to LinkedIn content? So what sort of relationships do you see evolving between the different platforms, and how can you shortcut your time to get the most impact? Anybody?
There are several services that offer you to create content and post it for you later, like Buffer and many others. So you create the content, you can adapt the tone of voice, because every platform has a different tone of voice. And you can post it and you can regulate everything. So repurposing content is a good way and a wise way to use your content, actually.
Yeah, and in terms of sort of winners and losers across the platforms, again, wide open question for any panelists to come in. In terms of marketing jewellery via social media, you've got limited time and resources. Which should be the priorities? Should it be Instagram? Should you ditch X, formerly Twitter, for example? Is it perhaps a less useful medium for marketing of your jewellery businesses? Where should you prioritise and focus your energies?
Depends where your audience is.
Yes.
Because if you're a B2B sales, if that is your hook, you're a B2B sales company, then it should be LinkedIn, without a doubt. If you're working B2C, TikTok is a winning platform if it's available. In India it's not. And Instagram, of course, is still very strong. And I would suggest YouTube, because it's overlooked by many, but it's such a powerful platform.
Okay. Let me just ask Shohista, because I know she's involved with TikTok to some degree. PRERNAA, you have a huge following on Instagram, but TikTok is not available in India. So let me ask Shohista, in terms of the relationship between how you use Instagram and how you use TikTok, what advice can you give to jewellery businesses? And how are they different in terms of the way you utilize the content?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, for me, Instagram is very broad, where I can create short videos. I mean, Instagram is pushing for 90-second reels, and its algorithm is so personalized that it goes out, and that's what TikTok it has been doing. And but don't think of Instagram just one thing, just create the content and then share it. It has so many different features where you can tag your product onto your online page, as well as you can just make the content on Instagram and share to thread, now available to Facebook, and that's quite automatic. It's set up automatically. You don't have to worry about if you're only on Instagram and Facebook. Whereas TikTok, you won't be able to share Instagram content to TikTok. You have to do it separately. It's extra bit of time, but also TikTok is really good among Gen Z and millennials, the age. But Facebook is really good within all the age group, and that's how it works and effective today still.
Okay. So let me ask Sam about how one should be using influencers to promote businesses. I mean, are influencers, Sam, the preserve of wealthy businesses only? Or is there an opportunity for up-and-coming new businesses also to reach out to some influencers to help them promote their jewelry brands?
I mean, yeah, influencers always work. I mean, you know, there are different type of influencers. Like you say, like there are mega influencers, which you see actors and a lot of big influencers who have like mega following. And you can see like there are different type of influencers. If I talk about, there are people who are actually talking about fashion and you know, jewelry and I think every sector, makeup and everything. I mean, so it becomes like micro, and I think the business, if you really want to start with the influencers, please collaborate with the upcoming influencers. And the
So how do you
influencers
find
are,
the right influencer for your type of business?
yeah, so if you're actually starting and if you have a very good niche and if you have a very good product that you actually want, so I would say that micro and macro influencers would work very well because they have you know, less following, but its impact is very good. But you cannot choose for your product the mega influencers. But if you have actually the product is very good, then you can choose for the mega.
Yeah, that's also true. I mean, I would suggest nano influencers. You know, if you are just starting up a business, I would suggest you to go for nano influencers, where you can actually, you know, without paying, you can collaborate so that nano influencer can get that, you know,
How does it
effect.
work? If you say you don't pay, so
Yes,
I don't understand the
usually
business model.
If
How would
they
it
will
work?
be happy on commission based, for example, or you can give, let's say in jewelry, you just present the jewelry as a, you know, kind of, in turn, there is a collaboration and they can talk about. That's so much effective, you know, when
You can send sweets to them.
So PRERNAA, I know you're right on target with this sort of marketing. I mean, what advice would you give jewellery businesses in terms of how they can be using influencers effectively to boost the marketing of their brand? I mean, for example, you could have a situation where perhaps in a provincial Polish city there is a young and talented designer, a sole trader who wishes to raise the visibility of her work. How might she find and reach out to an influencer at that sort of level? And then all the way up to obviously the very wealthy jewellery companies that can hire social media teams. I mean, what advice would you give to the various levels of businesses in terms of how they can embrace influencers to help them market their goods?
In fact, I was just going to answer that, having on this. So I'll give you a classic example of how it works in India. Because India has so many states and every state has a different culture. What brands usually over there adapt to is they tend to have a regional influencer that they work with who connects with the local audience there. So when you talk about somebody Polish, it's very easy for a Polish brand or a designer to connect with an influencer who has the local audience there. And then you also look at your national and international influencers. So depending on the kind of brand or a designer you are, and the ladder that you want to go up, make a national and international presence, that's when you start adding on to them. So from regional to state level to national and international, you start building an audience strategy.
It's also, you know, kind of better to identify what you want to achieve, isn't it? Are you
Unique is
looking-
important,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. The local, if you want to, you know, start with local and then develop the internationals, then that you should be looking at the local influencers.
I'll
maybe.
just give you another example. You know, there's an app called Blinkit in India, which was basically a grocery delivery app. And for one of the big festivals in India, which is called Akshaya Tritiya, and it's one of the major jewelry and gold buying festivals, they tied up with a jeweler in India only to deliver gold coins. That you don't need to come into the jewelry store. We are in the business of delivery, and they collaborated, and they had crores of sales, $1 million of sales to put it together, just with a smart collaboration of a delivery app and a jeweler.
Yeah, so it needs to be targeted to be effective.
Yeah.
Esther, there's kind of a thin line, isn't there, between sometimes being an influencer and being a consultant? Because influencers are obviously very knowledgeable about the jewellery that they're marketing, and they can also advise jewellery companies on how to boost their marketing behind the scenes. I mean, what are your thoughts about this relationship, this synergy between influencer and consultant? And are you yourself involved in that side of the business?
Yes, I work as an influencer, I work as a journalist, writer for trade magazines, and I work as a business consultant for small entrepreneurs in the jewelry business, and I do that through video calling. And for me, it's not a fine line, they complete each other. As I've had so much experience within the jewelry business internationally, I owned a jewelry store, I had a jewelry sales agency, I worked a lot with Italian companies, I did crisis management. So that is the kind of experience I bring to the table for my coaching clients. And obviously, as being an influencer in the B2B arena, so LinkedIn, business to business, I know how to give the proper advice how they can build their audience or their content or whatever they need. And people tend to overthink it. I said before, it's quite hard to create content. Doesn't always need to be, but the most difficult thing is consistency. And once you start, obviously you have to maintain it. But for me, it feels very natural and very complementary.
Okay, can I ask you to tap your phone so I can see what time it is?
Yes, it's...
Okay, perfect. So let's just, as we wrap up, look towards the future a little bit and try and imagine, without talking our own books, of course, what the future of influencing is going to look like in the marketing of jewellery. We talked about virtual models on Instagram and how AI is getting faster and faster at manipulating images and messages via Instagram. So SHOHISTA, will there come a time when the physical influencer will be dead and that we will have just virtual influencing via Instagram driven by virtual models instead of real models and fantastically rapid AI that is very cohesive? Will the influencer just slowly die out, or do you think the influencer will reinvent herself going forward?
I think so. Since the competition will be available, I think influencers will be shifting to different, maybe they will be adapting to different platforms and applications. I mean, like now, we can easily learn and adapt so quickly. The COVID time taught us to adapt to anything, So I don't think influencer marketing will die out because, one thing we shouldn't forget is that emotional passion, only real people can show that, in their work, for example, just wearing a jewelry, I'm so happy. Can virtual, models show that?
So PRERNAA, same question. I mean, what is the future of influencing? Will the physical influencer eventually die out? I mean, 20 years ago, there weren't influencers. It was trade press writing articles for physical magazines. It's been an extraordinary journey for influencing jewellery. What's the future, and how will the role of the influencer likely change?
So, since you said about going back into history, I would just say old is gold. So, the media houses are always going to be there. The publishing houses are going to be there. Likewise, influencers are always going to be there. My own example, when I started influencing way back in 2015, I didn't know myself the journey I was getting onto. And fortunately, unfortunately, thanks to COVID, the entire game changed. People who did not even know how to use WhatsApp or Zoom, everybody is going digital. And I see that in India, everyone was pretty much hooked onto their, phones or laptops during this entire time. And things have changed a lot after that. I'll give you another example of how AI has played a role. Although we're all getting adapted and making things with AI, and it's an aided tool that we can make things easier. But one of the food companies called Zomato, which was a food delivery app, it was using AI for the food generated content, and they actually stopped now because it is sort of misleading the audience that the food does not look like that. It's not real-time food. So I think that touch and feel is always going to be there in our business. So coming back to your question, the thing of influencers is always going to be there because we are showing you real-time content and we're showing you real-time product. So
Very
that's
good.
my view.
So I'm just going to ask the same question to my two colleagues to my left, but please prepare questions. We can take a couple of questions before the end of the session, so please do have some lined up because that would be really fun to take on board. So Esther, the future of influencing it via the, for the marketing of jewellery, how do you see it?
I think that they won't disappear, the influencers, and it's not based on my own instinct or anything, but I follow obviously people that talk about marketing and that talk about social media in a larger perspective. We're going to see more influencers and more importance for their work as an influencer, because what we bring to the table as an influencer is an audience. And your clients, your audience is all online, and authenticity is everything. And so we have that niche power in our industry to send a message broader. It's not going to go away. AI makes things easier, but it's not going to make it.
Sometimes it compounds itself, because I've seen, for example, cases of a TikToker who's really big in jewellery, then starting to move very quickly into Instagramming, and then you have the compounded effect of the two platforms working to her benefit and for the benefit of her clients. So Sam, last word from you before we take questions. How do you see the future of influencing in the marketing of jewellery?
I think I agree with PRERNAA and SHOHISTA both, and this is just all about touch and feel. And I believe, like I attend a lot of fashion shows and jewelry shows as well. So when a model is walking and and all the influencers they are talking about, so it makes a lot of difference and it makes you look more beautiful. And I mean, it's the same thing, the touch and the feel.
All right, very good. Yeah. So we welcome questions from anybody in the audience as we wrap up. Does anybody have any questions?
No question?
Yep, there is a question at the back. Could you please identify yourself? There's a microphone heading in your direction. Please identify yourself and then ask the question.
Thank you.
Any of you, or all of you, can be answering this question. Have you ever had a chance to examine the Turkish jewelry brands through the Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, or TikTok? So did you find any successful brands through this examination?
Very good question. So, looking at the various Turkish suppliers and brands out there via digital social media, do you identify any as having done a particularly good job, or any who have stood out for you?
I mean,
Roberto Bravo comes to my mind, but anybody else?
There's so many of them. There is Zen, Lisa, Atasai, I forgot her name. Zen is one example, or Koshak is one example that has collaborated with celebrity singer Hadisa. I think it's doing wonders. So basically, they chose the route of collaborating with micro-influencer. So this is kind of bringing a huge exposure to the brand. So this is another good example, I think so.
I mean, just continuing from Zen is just launched in India now.
Yeah.
So they also took the path of collaborating with influencers when they launched their brand in India, because we anyways have a presence in Turkey and they've met us and known us in Turkey and the kind of work we do. So it was the route that they took.
And it's not for the they've done for the in India, they're doing a lot of events at their store also. So so a lot of influencers, a lot of macro, nano, and everyone is coming. So they're inviting a lot of people.
Mega influencers.
Yeah, mega.
And the ESTHER Jewellery Show is doing an amazing job. They're creating fun content at the Instagram and LinkedIn, which was really good.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for attending today.
boyutlu heykelsi formlar, geri dönüştürülmüş materyal ve biyogazlı akrilik veya reçineye öncelik verilmesi burada önemli. Hareketi yansıtan yapılara sahip gerçekçi tasarımlar tercih edilerek de temanın uygulamasının daha kolaylıkla yapılabileceğini de söyleyebiliriz. Old Fringe, şimdi Fringe'in festival sezonu için önemli olmaya devam eden western ve yeni bohem alıntılarının yönlendirildiği abartılı uygulamalarla geri döndüğünü görüyoruz. Ayrıntılara baktığımız zaman da yine atığı azaltmak için mono malzeme yapıları ve stok fazlası malzemeleri yine kullanıldığını söyleyebiliriz. Uzatılmış saçak efektleri yaratmak için sorumlu iplik, kordon ya da işte rejelatatif pamuk ve keten gibi ya da işte sertifikalı süet ve deri veya deri alternatifi malzemelerin kullanıldığını görüyoruz. Uygulamaya baktığınız zaman da ana silüette dekoratif bir detay olarak veya bir yüzey dokusu olarak uygulamanın daha doğru olacağını da söyleyebiliriz bu temada. Spiral formlar yaratıcılığı ve estetiği sembolize eden geomansi yani sihir ve mistizmle uyum sağlayan spiral formlar manevi anlamı sade zerafetle birleştiren dekoratif bir detay olarak önem kazanıyor. Ayrıntılarına baktığımız zaman da şimdi tüketiciler kaçışçı ve anlamlı tasarımlara yönelmeye devam ederken bu sezonun böyle spiritüel metalleri temasına selam verin ve tılsımlı özellikleri yansıtmaya yardımcı olabilecek sıcak altın tonları veya işte nüanslı metalikler tercih edilebilir. Etik olarak çıkarılan veya işte geri dönüştürülmüş metallere öncelik vermeniz burada önemli. Mücevher tasarımcısı veya Bongiasca İtalyan veya işte gözlük markası Linda Farrow İngiltere arasındaki işbirliğinde referans alındığı gibi nötr tonlarla birleştiriliyor olması önemli. Uygulamaya baktığımız zaman da spiral formu dokulu bir motif olarak veya dekoratif donanım olarak kullanılan kavisli bir detay olarak öne çıkartıyor olmanız burada altı çiziliyor. Fransız tasarımcı Charlotte Chesnays'in yani mücevherlerine dikkat ederek vücuda mükemmel şekilde uyan sarılı ergonomik bir form olarak kullanmayı düşünebilirsiniz bu temada. Anahtar çıkarımlarına bakacak olursak da bunlardan ilki dairesel malzeme inovasyonunu hızlandırmak için stratejik yaratıcılığı uyguluyor olmanız. Yeniden kullanabilir ve dairesel ürünleri destekleyen dayanıklı, yaratıcı atık malzemelerle malzeme verimliliğini ve sürdürülebilirlik talebini karşılıyor olmanızı tavsiye ediyoruz. Malzeme atık akışlarından yararlanarak geri dönüşümü daha kolay olan tek malzemeler yaratmanızı tavsiye ediyoruz. Yenilebilir ve yerel ile doğal malzemelere geçiş ikinci önemli çıkarım olarak var. Daha sürdürülebilir bir geleceği destekleyen yenilebilir, izlenebilir, sertifikalı, yerel kaynaklı ve geri dönüştürülebilir doğal malzemelere geçiş yapmanız burada önemli. Üçüncü önemli çıkarım olarak da gerçek ve dijital alem arasında bir arada olan malzemelerin burada üretiliyor olması önemli. Dijital ve fiziksel dünyalar bir arada var oldukça gerçek ve sanal formlarda şekil değiştirme, maddi olmayan bir hale getirme ve ışık yayma potansiyeline sahip gerçek ve sanal dünyada eşit derecede evde olacak malzemeler ve ürünler geliştiriyor olmanız burada önemli. Son olarak da malzeme etkileşimini arttırmak için yenilik yapıyor olmanız önemli. Nesneleri geleneklere meydan okuyan deneysel yüzeyler veya efektlerle dönüştürün ve renk, yüzey, doku ve formda inovasyonu zorlayın. Yapay zeka estetiği gerçek yaşam malzemelerine ilham verdikçe yenilik burada aslında devreye giriyor. Anahtar ürünlerle devam edecek olursak da minimalden maksimale mücevher silüetlerin çok çeşitli tüketiciler için nasıl işe yarayabileceğini ve mevsimsel temalara nasıl yanıt verebileceğini görüyor olacağız. İlk olarak boncuklu kolyeyi görüyoruz. Şimdi neden önemli? Çok boncuklu kolye ilkbahar yaz 2025'e uyarlanabilir. Doğaya saygı duyan ve doğadan ilham alan formlar, malzemelerle uyumlu. Bu stil ayrıca küçültülmüş mücevher silüetlerine de dönüşü vurguluyor. Tasarım ayrıntılarına bakacak olursak da pazarınıza uygun çevre dostu malzemeler kullanın. Sorumlu bir şekilde tedarik edilen yarı değerli taşlardan sedef, barok ve tatlı su incileri, cam tohum ve boru boncukları veya seramik ve geri dönüştürmüş metal seçenekleri tercih edebilirsiniz. kolayca katmanlanabilen uzunlukların bir karışımının burada aslında tercih edilmesi önemli. Halter küpe neden önemli? Polikrize yanıt olarak asi alt tonlar modaya yansıyor. Piercing'den etkilenen stiller bu punk temalarına aslında gönderme yapıyor ve günlük anarşik bir dokunuş kattığını söyleyebiliriz. Piercing stillerinden tasarım ipuçları alın ve kulağın arkasına yerleştirilen düz veya kavisli bir çubukla tasarlayın ve boncuk tutturucuyla tamamlanmış bir tasarım burada tavsiye edilebilir. Malzeme ve ayrıntılara bakacak olursak da geri dönüştürülmüş metaller tabii ki de başından beri bahsettiğimiz abartılan genişlikler ve uzunlukları motiflerle tamamlayın. Organik inciler, sorumlu kristal, kübik, zirkon veya elmaslar yine aynı şekilde kullanılabilir. Sarkıt kolye, kolyeler podrumlara geri dönerken daha büyük silüetler, katmanlar halinde veya tek bir gösterişli parça olarak işe yarayan kolye görünümleri yaratıyor. Tasarım ayrıntılarına baktığınız zaman da motifler olmazsa olmazdır ve kalpler, işte göksel, folklorik, düşsel, su altı veya gotik semboller içerdiğini görüyoruz. Antik veya oksitlenmiş yüzeyler içeren çeşitli dönüştürülmüş metalleri, kordon özellikli zincirler kullanarak 16 ila 30 inç uzunluklarında tamamlayabilirsiniz. Mevsimsel labradorit dahil olmak üzere mine veya işte sorunlu bir şekilde temin edilen opal taşlarla renk katılabilir. Bu stil uzaydan etkilenen dünya dışı simgelerin yükseliş trendinde olduğu festival görünümleri için harika bir seçenek. Büyük boy çivili görünümler var. Sokaklarda ilgi gören ve iddialı damlalara kolay takılabilen bir alternatif sunan büyük boy küpeler, küpe çeşitlerini yeniliyor olarak aslında burada bahsedebiliriz. Tasarım detaylarına baktığınız zaman da yine geri dönüştürülmüş metallerden üretilen kulak lobunu kaplayan ve sarkan boyutlara odaklanıyor olmanız burada önemli. Gümüş yükseliş trendini sürdürüyor ancak aynı zamanda ince mat, fırçalanmış ve çekiçlenmiş yüzeylerin tanıtılmasına olanak tanıyan karışık ve nüanslı metallere de dikkat etmenizi tavsiye ediyoruz. New Yorklu Anika Inez'in küpelerine dikkat ederek organik ve heykelsiz şekiller eklenebilir. Alternatif olarak motif odaklı tasarım ve ilginç malzemeler aracılığıyla mevsimsel temalara yanıt vermek için bu silüeti de kullanabilirsiniz. İnciler, vurgulu fiyonklar veya işte sanatsal bahçe trendleri için vurgulu çiçekleri ekliyor olmanız da sezonun diğer temalarına referans olması için önemli. Kadın manşet, kadın giyim için, kadın kategorisi için önemli bir diğer ürün olarak var. Önemli bir parça olarak işlev gören manşet, odaklanmayı sağlamak için sade silüetlerin ön planda olduğu yükseltilmiş günlük mesajlara yanıt veriyor. Hafif, ergonomik bir uyum için tasarlanıyor olmak önemli. Geri dönüştürülmüş metal kaplamaların temel özellik haline geldiği incelikle süslendirilmiş, şekillendirilmiş tasarımları tercih ediyoruz. Karma ve nüanslı tonlar kullanın ve işte 2025-26'da da yine aslında trend olacak böyle minimal fütürist estetiği yansıtmak için olmazsa olmaz olan gümüş kullanımının önemli olduğunu söyleyebiliriz. Bu silüetin çekiciliğini biz aslında ilkbahar yaz 24 moda defilelerinde görmeye başladık. Karma malzemelerin içerisinde şekillendiğini görüyoruz. 3 önemli anahtar çıkarım var kadın giyim önemli ürünler içerisinde. Bunlardan ilki mevsimsel temalara yanıt veriyor olmanız. Bu sezonun temel parçaları malzeme, ayrıntı ve stil tahmini trendlerini yansıtacak şekilde kolay uyarlanabilir. Yeni fırsatlar yaratmak için temel tasarım ipuçlarının takip ediliyor olması önemli. İkinci olarak da küçük ölçekli tasarımları keşfetmeye başlayın. Boncuklu yakalar, işte halter küpeler, son sezonlarda moda koleksiyonlarının dayanağı olan böyle maksimal stillere bir alternatif sunduğunu görüyoruz. Daha rafine ve daha küçük ölçekli silüetlerin yolunu açtığını söyleyebiliriz aslında modadan gelen bir akımla beraber. Ve tabii ki de sürdürülebilir oluyor olmanız. Moda odaklı tasarımların aynı zamanda çevre bilincine sahip olduğundan emin olun. Çevresel kaygıların ön planda olduğu tasarımlarda veya satın alımlarda dairesel, sorumlu bir şekilde tedarik edilmiş malzemeleri ve geri dönüştürülmüş metalleri tercih edin ve biyosentetik taşları dahil etmeye başlayın. Erkek tarafına devam edecek olursak da İlk olarak yine boncuklu kolyeyi görüyoruz. Şimdi boncuklu kolye bizim WCS'nin yaptığı podyum analizlerinde ilkbahar yaz 25'te aslında en çok gördüğümüz, erkek tarafından en çok dikkatimizi çeken aksesuar olarak var. Yaz stilini ilerletmek için ideal olan renk ve ilgi çekici bileşenlerle ürünlere yenilik katıyor olmanız. Ticari yine şekilde bir uzunluğa odaklanıyor olmanız burada önemli. Kulak takısı yine erkek tarafına bakacak olursak da burada da çemberler, çiviler ve manşetlerle temel koleksiyonlar için zarif silüetler ve moda düşüşleri için daha cesur stiller kullanıyor olmanız önemli. Sarkıt, motif odaklı tasarım, kolye kategorisini etkileyen temel güncelleme, dünya dışı ve folklorik referanslar dahil olmak üzere mevsimsel tahmin temalarını yansıtan simgelerin burada erkek giyim tarafında ya da erkek tarafında tercih ediliyor olmasını tavsiye ediyoruz. Bileklik, boncuklar ve zincirlerden oluşan bileklikleri boyunluk silüetleriyle eşleştiriyor olmanız burada önemli. Çeşitleri yönetmek için renk katın ve kişiselleştirme fırsatları için cinsiyet ayrımı gözetmeyen tılsım ekleri tasarlanabilir. Kanadalı marka Vitali'nin buradaki tasarımını görüyorsunuz. İşte kulüp müziğine ve estetiğine saygı duruşunda bulunuyor ve kullanıcının aslında çıkarılabilir halkalar aracılığıyla kendi bilekliğini düzenlemesine olanak sağlayan bir tasarım geliştirildiğini görüyoruz. Mühür yüzük, burada da mesela 2025 için olmazsa olmaz yüzük stili olduğunu söyleyebiliriz bunun. Moda serilerini bir araya getirdiğini söyleyebiliriz. Mevsimsel tahmin temalarına yanıt vermek için çok yönlü tasarımın kullanılıyor olması önemli. Haç simgeleri kullanıyorsanız bu sembollerin kültürel açıdan önemli olduğu pazarlarda dini ikonografiye ilişkin hassasiyetin farkında oluyor olmanız tabii ki de altı çizilen önemli uyarılardan bir tanesi. Zincir kolye, şimdi ayrıntılar bu kategoriyi yenilemeye devam ediyor. Renk patlamaları ve yeni malzemeler içerecek şekilde genişletiyor olmanız burada önemli. Çok yönlü uzunluklara olanak sağlamak için yine ayarlanabilir zincirleri ekliyor olmanız. Bu da yine önemli ki tüketiciyle böylece bir tasarım sürecine dahil ediyor oluyoruz. Anahtar çıkarımlarına bakacak olursak da bunlardan ilki yeni özelliklerle tasarlıyor olmanız önemli. Renk patlamalarından kişiselleştirilmiş ve ilgi çekici bileşenlere kadar ayrıntı odaklı tasarım önceliğiniz olmalı. Bu klasik tasarımlara değer katacak ve tüketicileri yatırım yapmaya teşvik edecektir. İkinci anahtar çıkarım, mevsimsel temalara yine yanıt veriyor olmanız kadın tarafında olduğu gibi. Bu sezonun temel öğeleri, malzemeleri, ayrıntıları ve stil tahmini trendlerini yansıtacak şekilde kolayca uyarlanabilir oluyor olması burada önemli. Yeni fırsatlar yaratmak için temel tasarım ipuçlarını izliyor olmanız önemli. Sürdürülebilir oluyor olmak tabii ki de bu önümüzdeki dönemlerin önemli temalarından biri. Tasarımların çevre bilincine sahip olduğundan emin oluyor olmanız, çevresel kaygıların öncelik kazanmasıyla tasarım yaparken veya satın alırken dairesel, sorumlu bir şekilde tedarik edilen malzemeleri ve geri dönüştürülmüş metalleri tercih edin. Biyosentetik taşları da yine aynı şekilde dahil ediyor olmanız önemli. Son olarak da cinsiyet kapsayıcı oluyor olmak, boncuklu kolye ve kulak süsleri gibi stiller cinsiyetler arasında geçiş yapar. Tüketici tabanınızı genişletmek ve envanteri azaltmak için aslında koleksiyon sınırlarını zorlayarak kadın erkek iki tarafa birden hitap edebilen ürünler tasarlıyor olmanızı tavsiye ederek sunumumuzu tamamlamış oluyoruz. Çok teşekkür ederiz vaktinizi ayırdığınız için.